Okay, solving radical equations. So what if I told you that radical equations are less complicated than British boy bands? Interesting. Okay, so a radical equation is an equation with a square root or a cube root or a fourth root or whatever it may be. Okay, it's just something with a root in there. And we're going to mostly work with square roots. To solve radical equations, we just want to get rid of the square root by squaring both sides, or by cubing both sides, or by whatever. So mostly by squaring. Warning, this can sometimes create solutions that don't actually work. So that's why we're going to check our solutions every single time. Okay? Let's do this. So the first thing we have to do here, we have 10 plus the square root of a plus 7 equals 11. We have to isolate the square root. When you isolate yourself to recharge for a weekend, but it accidentally lasts the entire year. Hashtag COVID. Hashtag. I don't even use social media. Like, I shouldn't be saying hashtag. But anyways, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to subtract that 10 over. So I get the square root of a plus 7 equals 1. Now, at this point, I need to get rid of the square root, so I am going to square both sides. When you square a square root, the square root goes away. So all I'm left with on the left is a plus 7. And then 1 squared is just 1. And then I can subtract the 7, and I get a equals negative 6. And then I'm going to plug that back in just to double check. So I have, and I would just use a calculator. So the square root, 10 plus the square root of negative 6 plus 7. Plug that in exactly like it looks into your calculator. So that's 10 plus the square root of 1, which is 10 plus 1, which is 11. Yep. Okay, this one. So the square root of 6w minus 5 plus 10 equals 3. So I'm going to subtract that 10 over, and I get 6w minus 5, the square root, equals negative 7. Now, I can tell you right now that this is not going to work, because you cannot get a negative number out of a square root. But let's just keep going as if it would work, okay? So we're going to square both sides, and you get 6w minus 5 equals 49. Add the 5 over, you get 6w equals 54, so w equals 9. Now that looks like a nice solution, right? Well, let's plug it back in and see if we get 3. So we have the square root of 6 times 9 minus 5 plus 10. When you plug that in, well, 6 times 9 is 54 minus 5, that's 49, which is the square root of 49 is 7 plus 10, which is 17. Told you it wasn't going to work. Says, what's his name? Like Pauly D or whatever. Yeah, I watched that show when I was in high school. That's embarrassing. It also tells you how old / young I am. I don't know if you consider me old or if I'm considered young. I don't know anymore. No solution. Let's do one more. So negative 4 times the square root of 43 minus 3x plus 18 equals negative 2. So I'm going to subtract the 18 over first, and I get negative 4 times the square root of 43 minus 3x equals negative 20. Now that is being multiplied to the square root, so I'm going to divide by it. Now those negative 4's cancel, and negative 20 divided by negative 4 is positive 5. And then we have the square root of 43 minus 3x equals 5. So I'm going to square both sides, and that's going to be 43 minus 3x equals 25. Subtract that 43 over, and I get negative 3x equals negative 18. Divide by negative 3, and you get x equals 6. Plug it in. Negative 4 times the square root of 43 minus 3 times 6 plus 18, which is negative 4 times the square root of 43 minus 18 plus 18. Well, 43 minus 18, that's 25. So negative 4 times the square root of 25 plus 18, which is negative 4 times 5, which is negative 20 plus 18, which is negative 2. Again, you do not have to go through all of these steps. You can just plug this into your calculator. Okay, plug it into your calculator. I promise it will make your life easier. Okay, we have calculators. Let's utilize them. Okay, let's go through another type. Yep, Funny. Okay, this one. So if you have a radical equals a radical. Well, these ones are actually super easy. We just start off right off the bat by squaring both times. I'll have you know, I'm literally just a yellow square. I don't know. See, I'm obsessed with SpongeBob. Like, I don't know why I keep putting those on here. Square both sides, and you get -7 minus 2p equals 2p plus 21, which we can then solve this. So I'm going to add the 7 over, and I get -2p equals 2p plus 28. Subtract that 2p over, and you get -4p equals 28. Divide by -4, and you get p equals -7. Now, when we check this, we just need to check both sides. So I'm going to plug it into, I'm going to plug it into the left, and I'm going to plug it into the right. So square root of -7 minus 2 times -7, which is going to be the square root of -7 plus 14, which is the square root of 7. Now, the right side should also equal the square root of 7. So let's check it. So 2 times -7 plus 21, which that's -14 plus 21, which is 7. Cool? It's match. All right, let's do this one now. So now we have a radical equals a variable. Now this is already isolated, which is good for us. So I'm just going to start by squaring both sides. And I get 56 minus x equals x squared. Now, I told you factoring was never going away. And I was not lying. Like, we factor the entire year. So we have to solve this by factoring. So I am going to get this to us equal to 0. So I'm going to add the x over, and I'm going to subtract the 56. So we get 0 equals x squared plus x minus 56. Now we're going to factor that. So we want to see what multiplies to be -56, adds to be 1, which is 8 and -7. So that's going to be x plus 8, x minus 7. Set those both equal to 0. So x plus 8 equals 0, which means x equals -8. X minus 7 equals 0, which means x equals 7. Now we have to check our answers here. Okay, so I'm going to plug this in, and I should get -8 out if this works. So square root of 56 minus -8, which is the square root of 56 plus 8, which is the square root of 64, which is 8. Now that is not -8, so that one does not work. When I plug 7 in, we get 56 minus 7, which is square root of 49, which is 7, which that one does work. So that means our answer is x equals 7. Okay. Now, what if we have a radical equals a binomial? Well, we're going to start it the same way. We're just going to start by squaring both sides. So we have the square root of 2v minus 1 and v minus 2. So if we square both sides, the left side is pretty easy, but the right side, we either have to use distribution or the box, because this becomes v minus 2 times v minus 2. Okay. So that's going to be, oh, I wrote it right there. So the left side becomes 2v minus 1. The right side, I'm just going to use the box here. And you end up getting v squared minus 2v plus 4, which is v squared minus 4v plus 4. Again, we have to solve by factoring. Factoring is not going away. I will preach this. I will scream at the top of my lungs until I die, it seems like. I don't know. So we have to get this equal to 0. So I'm going to subtract the 2y and add the 1. So you get v squared minus 6, or I said y, I meant v. V squared minus 6v plus 5. Factor that. So see what multiplies to be 5, adds to be -6, is -5 and -1. So that's v minus 5, v minus 1. So that one, v minus 5 equals 0, which means v equals 5. V minus 1 equals 0, which means v equals 1. Now to check this, we just need to plug them back in. So 2 times 5 minus 1, well, that's square root of 10 minus 1, which is square root of 9, which is 3. I'm going to plug it in the right side to make sure I also get 3 out. So 5 minus 2 is also 3, so that one works. Plug 1 in, so we have 2 times 1 minus 1, which is 2 minus 1, which is 1. On the right side, if I do 1 minus 2, that's -1. 1 and -1 are not the same thing, so that one does not work. So So our answer is just b equals 5. Okay, it is very important that you plug numbers back in. And that is all. Goodbye.